Hey guys, and welcome to another guide. Today for Vault of Wardens. Now this mythic dungeon is very difficult, so please mind every mechanic for the bosses and be patient. Everybody's going to wipe at least once. First boss. Now along with the regular abilities, you also have adds that come out. These need to be prioritized and you do need to DPS them down. First ability, Fell Mortar, move out of the way. Make sure you don't stand in the fire. When he does do Dark Strikes, you do need to pop some sort of defensive cooldown, whether that's Shield Block, Demoralizing Shout, whatever it is for your class, make sure you can mitigate the damage. After he knocks you back, make sure to interrupt his cast for Furious Blast. That is very important. You did also see the adds that came out at that exact moment. You do need to prioritize those. If you do not, they will do big AoE party-wide damage. You see here that he does go into his DPS form. Now, for the DPS form, what he does is he throws an I-beam on the ground, and you do need to avoid that. You see it right here. Avoid all of that damage. Pick up these adds and DPS them down immediately. If he went into his tank form, instead of having I-beams, he would throw glaives out that have a chain connecting them. This chain does do a lot of damage, so you do need to avoid it. With this Dark Strikes, make sure you pop some sort of defensive mitigation ability and interrupt that Furious Blast hit. You do see the I-beams one more time here. Boss number 2. The easiest and best way to do this boss is to hide behind one of the pillars right where he is spawned. The reason why you do this is since he does spawn adds and he does spawn these eyes that will stun you if you don't look at them. If you LOS them, then they will run to you and you can DPS them down in a much better manner as opposed to being split up all over the group. It becomes very messy. Now, in Mythic mode, his cast no longer needs to be broken. In fact, it cannot be broken. You see me running here to the adds, just stay behind the pillar. This was one of our attempts. We did get it this attempt, but it's a lot better if you just stay behind the pillar the whole time. So with Sap Soul, you cannot interrupt it anymore. What Sap Soul does in Mythic mode is the next spell you cast gets an increased cooldown. So since there is no more interruption, what I did is I would use my interrupt when the Sap Soul debuff is on you, because I don't mind if it gets an increased cooldown. I wasn't interrupting the boss anymore. Or you can prioritize a long cooldown, like a long defensive cooldown. You're not going to use it more than once per fight anyway. You need to go into this fight knowing that there are 2 or 3 abilities that you will use only during Sap Soul, because they are not required for the rest of the fight. So be aware of that and pick your skills beforehand. Now here you see him run again, pick up some more adds. I am just going to stay behind these pillars, make sure that I LOS these adds so that they run to me. If you were outside, these eyes do a gaze on you and you do need to stare at them. And if you do not stare at them, they will stun you for 3 seconds. Now this 3-second stun can wipe a group, definitely. So here you see Sap Soul. Next thing I do is I use Pummel. If it gets on an increased cooldown, that's fine with me. Here's another Sap Soul. My Pummel is on cooldown. I decided to use Focus Rage because I'm not going to be using that this fight. And here you see the Inquisitive Stare. The reason why you want to break LOS. Here, a Disorient, a Stun. It can wipe a party. So the reason why you LOS break is to keep those stares away from you and to be able to pick up all the adds very, very easily. So here, the Inquisitor is about to go down. One more Sap Soul. I use my Pummel again. Pop some defensive cooldowns to live through this. And the boss goes down. Up next, we have the Golem. Now, in Mythic, the ads need to be prioritized even more than in Heroic mode. You only have 40 seconds per each ad to take it down. Now, we were very conservative with our use of the owls and freezing him. However, you don't need to be that conservative. I suggest using these owls every 20% or so, and using all of your DPS cooldowns that you can use during this brittle time. Now here we see a lava wreath. It does spawn a bunch of fire on the ground. If you step on one of these fires, you basically absorb it but take a ton of damage. Here you see an ad, switch to it, prioritize those. If you need to run through a fire, whether it's a fissure or a lava wreath, make sure you pop some defensive cooldowns before you do it, because they hurt a lot. Sometimes there's no way around it and you can't avoid it. As a tank, make sure you run around and keep the boss close to the ads so that your DPS doesn't have to spread out too far. Dodge the lava on the floor and any of the vortexes that spawn the lava. And use the owl statues. So once you start getting overrun, that is the perfect time to use the owl statues. They get rid of all of the lava on the ground, they freeze all of the ads, and they freeze the boss as well, and everything takes increased damage. Now here you see I am going down pretty low. I decide to pop some more defensive cooldowns, keep DPSing these ads, and at this point I decide we are being overrun. We need to use one of these owl statues. We could have used them a lot better, so this fight isn't that bad if you time your owls correctly. So here you see I start running over to this owl statue. I go ahead and click it, and this will help us kind of reset everything and give us a DPS boost on the boss. So here we have the brittle. You'll see the lava start to go away. You'll see all of the ads are also stunned and are also taking increased damage. Now, if you don't think you can kill the boss during this time, I do suggest prioritizing the ads over the boss, but we were pretty close to the kill of the boss, so we just went straight for him. Next boss. The difference between Mythic mode and the other modes is increased orbs that come out of him, and also during his laser beam stage, he summons a totem that needs to be DPS down, or that totem can make his laser beam become super deadly to everyone. So you see here I keep rotating, keep looking at these orbs, because as much as they can hit you and they can hit anyone in your party, they can also hit the boss and damage the boss. So you did see I did make the boss get hit by about 2 of them. There was another one right there. Here comes the laser beam stage. Also, a thing to note is that during Mythic, the big purple orbs will split into smaller purple orbs once they hit you. So you want to try to avoid them, or else you'll get split up and they just become massive, massive damage dealers in your party. So here you see we channel the laser back into him. It hits him. And we're back to normal with this boss. Just dodge the orbs. You see I don't move the boss around too much. You do want people to kind of get accustomed to where he is so that they focus more on dodging the orbs. Just be aware of anything that comes up behind you. You do see that I do dodge anything coming behind me, and the boss ends up taking all of that damage instead. You don't have to worry about these orbs hitting you in melee range as they come out from him, but you do have to worry about them hitting you when they're returning. Now here we have the final boss. Now the best strategy for this boss is to have one of your ranged damage dealers be the light. And what this person needs to do is this person needs to get rid of the shadows on the ground. So here we have our mage pick up the light. As well with this boss, the knockdown mechanic, where she will knock down everyone around her and punt the tank across the room. As a tank, make sure you are not near an edge, or you will get knocked off, you will lose threat, and you can easily wipe. So here we have one of the ads that takes the light. Once you kill this ad, get the light back, run to where the glaives are emanating from, make sure you dodge as many as you can, and then go back to DPS her. At this point, she might do the vengeance spawns that we had in the other instances, and if you did heroic, you remember the walls of soldiers coming at you. Well, this time, instead of just one wall at a time, each phase can have anywhere from 3 to 4. So here we have another knockdown kick. Make sure you go back into position after that knockdown kick. Don't stand near an edge. Here we have Creeping Doom. Start looking around you, look for the hole. I identified the hole here in the wall. Stand there, run through it. Don't let the walls come to you because you see another wall spawns. So you need to be on your toes about this. Even if you don't see the wall, the soldiers are still there. So even if they phase in and out, they are still in that position. So here you have the third wall. Run through that. And here we have a fourth wall, and we need to run through that as well. You see the cast is ending soon on the boss. So this will be the last wave. Make sure you don't run too far over to the left to run into that wave. Even if you don't see it anymore, even if the cast is finished, they might still be on the platform, and they do a lot of damage. So here we have the first vengeance. You do see over there on the right, there's the ad. Make sure as a tank you pick that up and position the boss in a way to where when she knocks you down, you run back into the platform just like that. You do see some of these creeping shadows being taken care of by our mage. Unfortunately, if you're completely melee heavy on DPS, this fight will be way more difficult for you. Here we have more Creeping Doom. 2 waves spawn at the exact same time. You need to find exactly where they intersect, or just be able to dodge both of them. And with this knockdown kick, it can be very deadly. I'm lucky enough to have charge, so I can charge back in. So make sure you dodge all of these walls, take her down, keep the creeping shadows on check, and that's it for that fight. I know it's a very difficult one. Thank you guys for watching. Good luck on this one.